Hi, my name is Patricia McClellan-Terrell, and I write under the pen name p.m.terrell. And I want to talk to you today about my newest release. It is called April in the Back of Beyond, and it is about a writer who goes to Ireland to research her latest historical work. And while she is there renting a quaint Irish cottage, she discovers that the cottage is actually haunted. And she becomes determined to find out what happened in the ruins beside her home that she's renting, the cottage, and also what happened in the abandoned British barracks that the ruins overlook. Her discoveries will lead her to something that the villagers have long since tried to forget. And the past and the present collide in the end. And like many of my books, April in the Back of Beyond was inspired by several true stories. So today I'd like to tell you about just one of them, and I'll be doing the other two in additional segments. Well, while I was researching Irish history for a series on my Neely ancestors, I came across the story of two teenage boys that were murdered in Ireland in 1919. 1916 was the Easter Rising, and that ended up leading to the Irish War for Independence. Well, these two brothers, their family had been in the country for generations. They had originally been given granted land by the British government, and so they had a British heritage. And by all accounts, their original home where they were very respected, very well thought of, and they were very neighborly, and their neighbors were very neighborly to them. But they relocated sometime between 1916 and 1919 to a larger estate, and that estate would turn out to be a horrifically fatal mistake. The family consisted of the mother and father, two daughters, and these two brothers. Well, unlike their original home in Ireland, where Catholics and Protestants coexisted without any problems, their new home was really in the middle of a war zone. The Royal Irish Constabulary, RIC, and the RIC Special Forces, which were better known as the Black and Tans, because their uniforms were a mishmash. They didn't have enough uniforms for everyone, so they ended up wearing half tan uniforms and half black or dark. So they were known as the Black and Tans. Well, they were fighting against those that were battling for Irish independence. And those that were fighting for the Irish independence included the Fenian Brotherhood and the Irish Republican Brotherhood, which was called the IRB, and that ended up later being the forerunner of the IRA, which is the Irish Republican Army. Well, their new home that this family moved to is like the home that was portrayed in the book. It overlooked British barracks. The barracks were built in order to protect Western Europe from the Germans in World War I. And when the two teenage boys found some Irish locals crossing their land in order to spy on these British barracks, they informed their neighbors that they were not permitted to trespass on their property. Because of that, the Irish neighbors that were fighting for independence believed that the family was taking the side of the British, which made them enemies in this guerrilla war. So one day these two brothers were murdered, and their home on the very same day was burned to the ground. Well, the story really did not end there. In fact, it was only the beginning of a nightmare that would culminate in their mother suffering from severe emotional trauma. Today, we would consider it PTSD. She was there when her sons were murdered. She tried to prevent what happened to them. And when they were shot in such a way that it prevented them from dying right away. So as they were bleeding to death and their home was burning down around her, the mother was trying vainly to save her sons. Well, the true attack that I came across was so vicious that it was just imprinted on my mind. I could not get rid of the visions, that this portrayed, and out of respect for my readers, I changed the way that these boys were murdered in the book, because I could not write the true story about how that took place. But the information regarding where they were killed at their home, which became the ruins that the writer Haley Hunter goes to in the book, and the British barracks are exactly as they were in real life. I also changed the location, though, because both the descendants of the killers and the descendants of the victims are still alive today. So I moved the location and I changed the name. And in the book, the name of the mother is April Crutchley. So April in the back of Beyond begins when Haley Hunter, the writer, arrives in Ireland in April. But you very quickly determine that it's really April Crutchley's story. It's April in the back of Beyond. And the back of Beyond is a term that the Irish use for being so far away, so out in the sticks, that it's not the beyond, it's the back of Beyond. And in the story, April's ghost is haunting the carriage house, the cottage where Haley is renting. And it was the carriage house that the Crutchley family, and that is a fictitious name, but in true life, it was the place where they moved to until they could leave Ireland altogether. But April never truly left Ireland, and so Haley becomes just convinced that she has to determine why April cannot leave the back of Beyond, even in death. So that's the one of the stories that makes up April in the back of Beyond, one of the true stories that inspired it. And if you were watching this before August the 5th, I hope that you will join me on a blog tour that I will begin on August 5th, and I will leave the link below so that you can follow each of the stops. And every day I will be doing an interview and a series of questions that are unique to each stop. So you get to learn all sorts of information about my writing, how I write, how I get my ideas, and other inside stories about this book, April, in the Back of Beyond. So I hope that you will join me and visit my website at p.m.terrell.com, and please follow my videos on YouTube and follow me on social media. You will find the links to all my social media on my website at p.m.terrell.com. Thank you.